Welcome to Alpha Insights. I'm Juniper. With me is Drew, our tech sector turned cannabis policy watcher. Remember, if you have questions as we go, you can ask us at stockalpha.ai.
Thanks, Juniper. Great to be here.
Markets are closed this weekend. The last trading day was Friday, March 13th, so we'll talk about the policy moves and what they mean heading into the long weekend.
Right. And most of the story this week was state policy, not company earnings.
Start with Massachusetts. Regulators there said the regulated market is getting to most consumers and crowding out the illicit market. Drew, how big a deal is that?
It's a meaningful milestone. When regulators conclude that legal channels are reaching consumers, that's policy validation. It makes it easier for lawmakers to support licenses and for banks and suppliers to feel more comfortable working with licensed companies.
So, the real question here is, how should investors read that?
Short answer, look for confirmation. Regulators' statements are great, but investors want data. Weekly and monthly license-level sales will tell you whether retailers and producers are actually seeing steadier demand. If license-level revenue trends rise, it supports regional winners in Massachusetts.
Interesting.
And to add to that, companies with strong distribution and retail footprints in Massachusetts stand to benefit first. So be selective. Focus on compliant operators with clear local advantage.
We also saw progress in Georgia and Delaware. Give us the highlights there.
Georgia's legislature expanded medical qualifying conditions and allowed vaping for patients over 21. That opens the patient base incrementally and broadens product adoption in a big southern market. Delaware's Senate unanimously moved to allow terminally ill patients to use medical cannabis in hospitals. A small change, but one that could reinforce institutional acceptance.
Okay, so those are wins. But New Hampshire stalled on adult use and psilocybin. What's that tell us?
It underscores that progress is uneven. You're not getting a single national wave, you're getting state-by-state advances and setbacks. That increases execution risk for companies that rely on regulatory expansion to drive growth.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then there's enforcement. Tennessee regulators canvassed more than 4,400 stores and found more than 650 selling unlicensed hemp-derived THC products.
That's a lot. How does enforcement like that affect the market?
Short-term, it creates risk. Sudden closures, supply interruptions, and volatility for names exposed to that state. But medium-term, enforcement can remove illegal competition and improve pricing and channel clarity for compliant operators. So it can be both a headwind and eventually a tailwind for licensed players. I mean, when you look at the data, enforcement patterns matter more than a single raid. If regulators sustain this campaign, expect clear market dynamics. If it was a one-off, the impact is limited.
Let's get practical. What should listeners track this week and beyond?
First, Massachusetts license-level sales. Weekly or monthly retail numbers will confirm whether the legal market is actually gaining share. Second, Georgia implementation details, committee calendars, and rollout for new conditions and consumption rules. Third, Tennessee enforcement notices. Watch whether closures continue. And finally, follow flows into the U.S. Cannabis ETF as a proxy for retail investor appetite, plus company-level news for names like Tilray, Curaleaf, Green Thumb, and Trulieve.
So where might investors position if they want exposure but are cautious?
Be selective. Favor companies with clear compliance records, diversified state footprints, and strong retail or wholesale distribution. Keep some cash aside for downside risk, because state politics can shift quickly. For ETF exposure, monitor fund flows as a sentiment indicator rather than a long-term signal by itself.
Got it. Quick reactions?
Right. Honestly, I was a bit surprised by how clear the Massachusetts regulators were. That's confidence-inspiring for local operators.
That optimism is contagious. Before we wrap, any final cautions?
Yes, don't treat state wins as a guarantee of national reform. Plan for a patchwork environment. Manage position sizes. track the specific metrics I mentioned, and prioritize regulatory certainty over headline momentum.
Great. To close, here are the key takeaways.